When Ben Johnson was brought in to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears, one of the things he wanted to establish was the importance of giving 100% effort when you are not getting the ball in your hands as a skill position player. This is a mantra that he has dubbed no block, no rock, and while that does seem self explanatory, it expands beyond just blocking. It also has to do with route running and just your overall effort as a skill position player when it's not your time to shine. And the player I feel that through 2 weeks has embodied this the most is none other than tight end Cole Kmet. Not the flashiest player in the world, maybe not the first guy you think of when it comes to Chicago's weapons, but I'll be damned if that boy isn't out there blocking his ass off, and he's gotten the rock a handful of times, not nearly as much as he should. So I wanted to make this video to kind of highlight what he's been doing, taking a look at 7 of what I think are his best plays that fit this mantra through the first 2 weeks. Now, I could sit here and break down more, but I'm going to be honest. It's not really fun as a Bears fan, and I'm sure it wouldn't be fun as a viewer, breaking down a bunch of 2-yard DeAndre Swift runs where Komet's doing exactly what he needs to do, but Swift runs into a clogged lane anyways, or bounces a run outside that doesn't need to go outside, or gets dropped 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He makes it tough to talk about the Bears' run game. And then in the passing game, I've included the plays where Cole Kmet really stood out to me as a pass blocker. Not as chipping or anything like that, like straight up one-on-one pass blocking, because he has had quite a few good reps. There's also a bonus clip in here of another Bears player that I think embodies this mentality very well, pretty surprisingly. And we shout out a couple other Bears players who have also been blocking and doing well without the ball in their hands in certain situations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it and talk about Cole Kmet, Rome Odunze, Kyle Monangai, and Luther Burden. All right, first play we're going to take a look at here. We've got Kmet on the right side of your screen. He's going to be up against an edge rusher who is covered up right now. You can see, there we go. Going to be up against 92. And a little bit later in the play, I'm also going to shout out Kyle Monangai here because this video is about Cole Kmet, and it will be for 99% of it. But if there is a given play where Kmet does his job, another player who doesn't get the ball makes a really nice block, I'm going to bring that up as well. Because at the end of the day, the point of making this video is to say that the no block, no rock thing with Ben Johnson, the mantra, if that's something he is going to push, it is something that is going to need to be reflected. And I feel for guys like Kmet and also Kyle Monangai, very notably, because DeAndre Swift does not embody this, I really feel like they're going to be getting involved a little bit more. So we'll start with Kmet because he is the star of our show today. And you'll see once this ball is snapped, he does a good job of getting out in front of 92 and stowing him away from Caleb to open up for Rome Odunze's first touchdown of the day. Now, I will say this is not the most technically refined rep. You know, if you watch my Fullback Friday videos, you know I am a big fan of the fundamentals. I'm a big fan of, good precision and technique. But at the end of the day, your only goal here as a blocker is to make sure 18 doesn't get hit. And if you got to do that by getting a little sloppy, by not exactly being the most technically refined player, then so be it. That's a win in my book, at the very least. And that is exactly what happens here with Kmet. So you see right away, once I move this down a little bit, I should say, 92 here wants to turn the corner, right? He wants to go around Kmet's outside shoulder. So Kmet does a good job of opening his hips to the outside, allowing himself to get in position to wall off, right? That is his goal here. He wants to create a wall between himself, or between Caleb Williams and 92 using his body. And that is exactly what he's going to do here. He does a good job of staying out in front of him. 92 doesn't get a hand up at all, so Kmet absorbs the contact and just kind of carries it throughout the play here. And you see by the time Caleb throws this ball, there's a good gap here between Kmet and Caleb. So there was really no hope of 92 getting involved in this play. I'll run that back one more time for you. Just a really, really good job of stowing him off. Again, not the most technically refined block here per se. To be fair, it doesn't really have to be because of the way 92 approaches this. You'd like to see one or both of the guys get their hands up a little bit, but Kmet didn't have much of a chance to. He just kind of absorbs the contact and carries it, and that works. That is as good as any block. But we take a look at Monangai here, and I really like his work on Alex Anzalone. So we take a look here at the running back, just circling him for you real quick, just in case you don't know who I'm talking about, because he is a relatively new player. You see he picks up that blitz pretty well. and he stows off Alex Anzalone. So taking another look here, Manungai, again, just absorbs the contact. You see he actually does get his hands up into the chest of Anzalone, but the way they attack, you can see here, the two of them are locked in combat. And Manungai does a really, really good job of keeping Caleb clean. You see by the time this ball is released, look at all that space between 18 and 25. That's a really good block there from the running back. Now, to be fair, once this ball is delivered, Manungai does get delivered to Caleb a little bit. You see he gets pushed into his lap, but at that point, who cares, right? He held up until the ball was thrown, and that is all that matters. So, good effort here by 25 and 85. Kmet is obviously the star of our show, but I wanted to shout out Manungai because I firmly believe he should be getting more carries in Chicago. I am tired of seeing DeAndre Swift on the field. I'd much rather see 25 get the ball than 4, but I digress. Love what I saw from both of these players that really do deserve to be more involved. All right, next play here, pretty straightforward. We've got Kmet lined up on the right side of your screen, and he is going to be a lead blocker for DeAndre Swift. You see he's going to come in motion as a puller, and he walls off Alex Anzalone, continues to wall him off down the field, and DeAndre Swift picks up about 7. So honestly, I'm a little biased, but I think Kmet should get more props as a blocker just because he has to block for DeAndre Swift. Blocking for DeAndre Swift has got to be one of the least rewarding jobs in all of football because, my God, that man could not see an open lane if Moses showed up and parted the Red Sea for him. Like, it is really, really frustrating watching DeAndre Swift try to run the ball. I mean, I saw a stat the other day that said that the Bears are first in the league in yards generated before contact, meaning their blocking has been very good in the run game, and they are 31st in the league in yards generated after contact, meaning that their running backs are not doing so well once they get past that line. And it's no surprise when DeAndre Swift is taking the bulkier carries, but regardless, ran over. Bears fans, I know you are frustrated with Swift as well. Taking a look at Kmet here, the play design, we've got 2 pullers, right? Joe Thuney is going to pull across, pick up Aiden Hutchinson. Kmet's going to come in behind him and pick up the linebacker. You've got Alex Anzalone, who's going to come downhill once he sees this handoff. And then Swift's job is just to go out beyond the tight end here, go out beyond Kmet. So you see Kmet does a good job of recognizing the linebacker. He knows that Swift is going to come out around. I don't know if you just heard that bird chirping, but he must not be a big DeAndre Swift fan either. Regardless, DeAndre Swift is going to come out around, so Kmet does a good job of putting his back to the back, right? If you watch my Fullback Friday videos, you know this is something I talk about all the time. As a lead blocker, the best thing you can do is have your back to the guy you're blocking for, because that means you're creating a barrier between the defender and the guy you're blocking for, right? So that is exactly what Kmet does here. Anzalone is then going to try to spin upfield, and Kmet can't quite keep himself perfectly in front of him. So instead, he just keeps that arm out and runs alongside him. And this is legal. It's not like a hold or anything. He's basically just boxing him out up the field a little bit. And he does a good job. At no point, other than maybe right here, where Kmet has a good block, is Anzalone going to be able to make a play on DeAndre Swift. So good stuff there from Kmet. I will say it looks like there's a little improv going on here. My gut tells me DeAndre Swift wanted this lane, or this is the lane he was supposed to go, but, Anzalone did do a good job of sitting down early. If we rewind it just a hair here, you see he kind of sneaks in behind Aiden Hutchinson, so Kmet doesn't have much of an opportunity to open up that lane there. Plus, as much as I love Joe Thuney, he's a pass blocker more than he is a run blocker, and trying to guard Aiden Hutchinson here trying to block Aiden Hutchinson here is giving him some problems, so DeAndre Swift has to bounce this one outside, and Kmet does a good job of thinking on his feet and making it so Swift has the opportunity to bounce that one outside. Next play here, we've got more run blocking. Kmet here on the right side. And look, if you're a Bears fan, a lot of these runs aren't going to be that big. It's not like Kmet springing 40-yard runs, not because of anything he's doing, but because of Swift. I already went on my rant. I'm not going to do it again. But point is, this is only about a 3-yard run. Not the sexiest play in the world, but Kmet does exactly what he needs to do. So we'll take a look here. Once Caleb snaps this ball, you see Braxton Jones is going to cut out and pick up Aiden Hutchinson, and Kmet cuts across the middle here to pick up Jack Campbell and does a great job on the block. So taking a closer look here, it's pretty straightforward. right? Everyone here is blocking the man across from him. You've got a double team here, which is going to turn into the center climbing uphill. Kmet has to come out across, pick up the linebacker. Braxton Jones kicks out and picks up Aiden Hutchinson. And Kmet's going to do a great job. You see Campbell, he's going to try to come downhill to the handoff. And they do this handoff inside. Ends up being a counter run. So, Swift is going to bounce it a little bit. And the reason for that is to give Kmet the ability to get in position. And once Kmet gets in position, he does. He gets inside of Campbell, gets him out of the play there. You see Campbell ends up on the ground next to Swift once it's over because Kmet blocks him into, I can't tell if it's Joe Tooney or Drew Dahlman. Let's watch it one more time. He blocks him into Drew Dahlman, who then puts him on the ground. So a little 1-2 there for him. But this one, again, not super sexy, just kind of doing what he needs to do. That's execution. That's something that coaches like to see. And even though it's not the biggest run, which let's double check real quick. Is there an opportunity for Swift to make this a big run? Not really. They close on it pretty quickly. Dahlman doesn't exactly do the best job on Anzalone there. He holds that double team a little too long, doesn't climb to the second level. But regardless, point being here, Kmet did what he needed to. And for the purposes of this video, that's quite frankly all I care about. Because when the ball gets handed to DeAndre Swift, I expect negative yards. So a 3-yard pickup in my book is a huge net positive. All right, I know I literally just said that I don't think DeAndre Swift could see a hole if Moses parted the Red Sea for him. But I didn't say anything about Kmet parting a blue sea for him into the end zone for a 3-yard touchdown, because that is exactly what's about to happen here. So we're going to bring Rome Odunze in motion. Cole Kmet drives the man out of the spot. And DeAndre Swift could have basically walked into the lane that Cole Kmet opens up here. This play is all 85. Honestly, screw DeAndre Swift. Credit 85 for the touchdown here because he makes this play happen. You see here on the right side, we've got a double team right here. We've got Dahlman one-on-one. We've got Joe Tooney climbing to the second level. We've got Braxton Jones one-on-one. Move our pen tool here. Rome Odunze is tasked with taking care of Brian Branch, and Kmet is responsible for Derek Barnes, I believe it is, the strong side linebacker. And Kmet does a tremendous job of just getting into his chest, carrying his momentum, and driving him out of the play. I mean, this effort is tremendous. This is exactly what you want him to do on this play. The only thing that would have made it more perfect is if he would have put 55 in the dirt at the end of it. He doesn't, but he didn't need to. He did exactly what was needed, cleared out for DeAndre Swift, and opened up that lane. Now, I posted this video on Twitter, and a lot of people were happy with Kmet, but a lot of people were shouting out Rome Odunze, so I want to do the same thing here. You see Rome, again, if I can get my freaking pen tool out of the way, is going to be responsible for Brian Branch here on the right side. And Brian Branch is a very, very good player. He had a sack at some point in this game. I know Jonathan Vilma had no idea who he was calling him Dion Branch the whole game, but I digress. Rome does a good job of slamming himself into Brian Branch, reestablishes his ground, holds the block, and Branch does get a hand in there, but that one hand is not going to be enough to stop any running back with a full head of steam, right? As much grief as I'll give DeAndre Swift, he has had a couple plays this year where he's fought hard for a yard or two, and I don't think that one hand from Brian Branch is going to make any sort of difference, as it doesn't. So, again, Rome did exactly what he needed to, and this is one of those ones where I'm sure Ben Johnson's looking and going, 85-15, we want to get those guys the ball. Obviously, Rome's already getting it a ton, but, plays like this are probably why he's establishing himself quickly as the top dog in the pecking order, among other things. And this is one of those ones where I look at it and say, Kmet should not be too far behind him. All right, I'm going to be honest with this next play. It does not matter, right? 4 minutes left in the game, getting blown out, down by 30. You got the backup quarterback in, Tyson Bagent. I know there's some Bears fans out there clamoring for him to be the starter. They're thinking, oh, he's getting in at the end of the game. That means the team's trying to see what he looks like with the ones. No, he is off the field. Or Caleb Williams is off the field because they do not want him to get hurt when the game is meaningless. So they throw the backup out to hand the ball off so they can run clock. If you're a Tyson Bagent fanboy, I'm sorry. He's not an NFL starting quarterback and should not be quarterback for the Bears. But regardless, more importantly here, Cole Kmet lined up on the right side of your screen. This play does not matter. But the reason I'm showing it to you is because even in garbage time when the game's over, Kmet is still out here blocking. He's still out here trying. I'm not going to sit here and act like this is some crazy feat. I just like the effort. I just like the hustle. So you take a look here. We're going to bring a man in motion. Kmet's going to step up, picks up the linebacker, drives him out of the lane, and opens up for Manungai to get 10. And then at the end, hops in on the pile and helps drive him forward a little bit. So this one's pretty straightforward in terms of the actual breakdown. Kmet, his job is just to climb to the second level and pick up this linebacker. That way Manungai can, slip up through the A gap here, it looks like. Yes, the A gap. And Kmet does a great job of just sliding that guy out of the way. He's one of the first guys off the ball in this play. He does a good job getting his hands in the chest, slides 15 out, and then again, he sees that there's a hold up, so he gets in there, tries to drive the pile forward a little bit. And, at a point in the game where it was completely meaningless, where everyone's just kind of going through the motions until the clock hits 0, that's one of those things where a coach is going to look and say, hey, game was over, 85 is still giving it. He was still out there. He was still out there playing. That's heart. That's hustle. Instead of being defeated, instead of being deflated, granted, Kmet's probably used to losses at this point, playing for the Bears for 4 years, but you get my point. He's still out there doing his thing, and that's what matters here. All right, I only ended up having 7 clips when I intended on having 8. I miscounted somehow. So because of that, you're getting a bonus play from someone other than Cole Kmet. Because, again, I want to emphasize the importance of the no block, no rock, and not just the tight ends, but also some of the other skill position players. And this play right here from rookie wide receiver Luther Burden is one that I really, really like. So this is going to be a designed run for Caleb Williams, and Burden has no easy task. He has to block a defensive end one-on-one, and I would say does a pretty damn good job and allows Caleb to pick up the first down here. So you'll see, again, his assignment is Al-Qadim Muhammad, who is not the cream of the crop in terms of defensive end, sure, but he is much bigger and stronger than Luther Burden. So Burden does a good job here with the initial contact, gets his hands inside, starts driving him up the field, and then what's going to happen here is you're going to see Caleb make a cut to the inside, which Burden is going to take full advantage of and push Muhammad out of the way, which opens up Caleb. So just a really good effort block here, sticking with Muhammad as long as he did, and then coming back to, play that last hit to knock him out of the way is pretty good stuff from a guy who in college was kind of lambasted for his lack of effort as a blocker. It's clear he's another guy who has taken the no block, no rock mantra to heart. If you go back and look at the preseason, he had a couple really, really nice blocks against Buffalo in particular, and I think this adds to that. So, all right, moving back in time a little bit to the Minnesota Vikings game, we've got Kmet here lined up on the left side of your screen for what I think is one of the most impressive blocks of his career, and definitely the most technically impressive block we're going to see in this video. And the reason for that is because we have Kmet lined up one-on-one with Jonathan Grenard, who is a very, very talented pass rusher, and more specifically, one of the better bull rushers in the NFL. And when you have a tight end lined up one-on-one with a player who has a wicked bull rush, as Grenard does, with the strength and speed that he possesses, typically that tight end is going to get driven into your quarterback's lap, and it's going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of people in your offense. However, that's not the case with Cole Kmet. He does a fantastic job here making sure it does not escalate to that. So we'll go ahead and let this play out here. You'll see, first of all, the kick step here is perfect, gets his hands up, and yeah, Grenard gets some ground, but Kmet does just enough to buy Caleb time and allow him to get this throw off to DJ Moore for a 30-yard pickup. So taking a closer look here, like I said, the kick step here is perfect. By an NFL tight end, I mean, this looks like an NFL tackle out there, right? He is quicker off the ball, moving with more energy, more juice, more technique, like by far than Braxton Jones on this play. Granted, Braxton Jones' assignment's a little bit easier. He's got to stand straight up and block the guy in front of him, but still, he looks like the left tackle in this play, Cole Kmet does. And to be able to get this, not only with the technique that he has, but to be able to get himself in position quickly like that is very, very good. That's very well executed. The one thing I will say is I wish he got his hands up a little bit quicker here against Grenard, because that's exactly what he's going for. Kmet's playing a little reactive as opposed to proactive. But you can live with that, because what he's going to do is he's going to get his hands in the chest of Grenard. We rewind it to the contact here. You see hand placement's good right there. He's got one in the chest. Now the other is going to be on the shoulder, which isn't ideal. But Kmet does a good job of holding him off just enough to buy Caleb time to step up into this throw into the pocket. Not like a perfect block or whatever from Kmet, but the technique is great. The tenacity is great. He stows off Grenard just enough to keep his quarterback upright. And more importantly, the reason why I'm so impressed by this is because 90% of tight ends, you put them in this situation, hell, I'll say even further, 98% of tight ends, you put them in this situation, they're getting bulldozed into Caleb's lap. Apart from some of the elite blockers, they're going to get bulldozed into Caleb's lap. And for Kmet, a guy who, as I've already said, has never been thought of by the general consensus as an elite blocker, to be able to make a play like this is pretty damn impressive. So hats off to him for this one. Definitely the most impressive block we're going to see today in terms of the technique and the willingness. And then on top of that, he's down there to celebrate with DJ Moore pretty much right away. So that's one of those ones where obviously it's been over a week since it happened. I'm sure when it happened, Ben Johnson and the guys in the tight end room were all looking at Cole Kmet like, hell yeah, 85. That is what we want to see. That is the epitome of the effort we want to see with this no block, no rock mantra. And finally, this block is not on a particularly big play. It's about a 5-yard pickup from DeAndre Swift. We've got Kmet lined up here out as your furthest most tight end from the quarterback. You've got a little heavy personnel here with Theo Benedette, the backup left tackle, in here at tight end as well. And Kmet's going to do a really, really nice job with a really important block on this run. So you see he's got Jonathan Grenard, and he absolutely buries him to clear the way for DeAndre Swift. And what I like the most about this play is the awareness, the pivot, right? Because Kmet, obviously, he's trying to wall off Grenard as they want to open up a lane here for DeAndre Swift, right? That much is apparent. However, because Jonathan Grenard makes a really nice play and cuts inside, Kmet says, okay, you're going inside, we're going inside. And he carries that momentum, pushes him into traffic, and gets him away from DeAndre Swift. Kmet knows that Swift, as bad as he is and as bad as his vision is, he really likes to bounce runs outside, right? If there's one thing he likes to do, it's to go all the way outside for no reason. So Kmet, knowing that, carries that momentum inside and opens up for Swift to pick up 5 here. Really, really good job here pivoting. Really good adjustment on the fly. That's the kind of thing you want to see out of a blocking tight end, like point blank period. When it comes to blocking, obviously some of these guys just don't have the physical prowess that a tackle would have per se, right? Like you look at Darnell right here on the right side. He gets some really, really nice push on Jonathan Allen, kind of uproots him out of his gap. Kmet doesn't have that kind of power, right? Because he is like 50 pounds lighter. But what he does have is quickness and football IQ, and he weaponizes that to adjust and to help out, and he ends up taking Jonathan Grenard onto the ground. Now, obviously, the point of this video is not to say that I think Cole Kmet should fully be a blocking tight end, because I think that is a waste of his skill set. I do think he's a very, very nice receiver. He had the one-handed catch in this Vikings game. The outro to all my videos is him mossing Tyrann Mathieu against the Saints a couple years ago. He's got some prowess as a pass catcher, but with this no block, no rock mantra, he does a hell of a job blocking when he doesn't have the rock in his hands. And I think this play, as well as the other 7 we took a look at, are prime examples of just that. But anyways, folks, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below, as it does help out the channel a ton. It shows your support, it shows you care, and I really do appreciate it. Also, make sure to subscribe for more NFL content coming your way throughout the rest of the regular season and beyond. I'm going to try to do 1 to 2 film breakdowns a week in addition to Fullback Friday, which will be dropping tomorrow or dropped yesterday, depending on when I upload this video. I still haven't decided that much. Also, make sure to comment down below and let me know what you thought about this video, what you think about Cole Kmet, the Bears offense, no block, no rock, any of that good stuff. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments. And above all else, I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it because you're all wonderful people and you truly do deserve it.
Had a chance on the throwback. This was an ill-advised throw. What an unbelievable catch by Cole Kmet. And he cups it too. No movement when he hits the ground, tucked up against his shoulder. Wow.
Using that